On the field, off the field, sports talk, entertainment, and more. This is Sauce on the Side.
Well, hello there, Dippers, and welcome back to episode 48 of the Sauce on the Side podcast. I'm your host, Drake, as always, and I'm joined by my co-host, the producer, Mr. Leighton Pip Shaventone.
Last week, I asked you guys how long ago fish could survive in vodka. I looked up, did a little research on this. Somebody with 16 years of aquarium experience has said about 5 seconds.
Oh, wow.
About 5 seconds, wow.
It would get really drunk and die really quickly.
Sauce on the Side, we always do our research here. And joining us from Dallas, the hot take detective himself, Mr. Brandon Riker.
I'm like Lance Stevenson. The more you tell me to go away, the more I want to come back.
That's very true. I cannot wait for the Pacers to do a deadline deal to get Lance back in a Pacers uniform. Guys, we have an excellent show today. We're going to talk a little bit about the MLB hot stove because it has officially been lit. We're going to talk about buyers and sellers at the deadline. We are going to introduce a new segment, actually, this week, and I will kind of introduce that later. We will do a full NBA draft breakdown, and we have a very, very special interview with Nino Alibegic. He is a star of Last Chance U Season 3, and now the kicker at the University of Hawaii. Guys, I hinted at it whenever I was going through the rundown, but the MLB hot stove is lit. We've had some decent-sized names here, nothing absolutely crazy yet. But Kelvin Herrera has been traded to the Nationals, John Jay to the Diamondbacks, and Brad Miller to the Brewers. Guys, all three of these teams have potential to still be alive in the postseason. Which of these trades will have the biggest impact on this season?
I'm actually going to go with John Jay to the D-backs. I feel like he's that perfect, sneaky, good fit. They're trying to hold on and win a division that is really close and probably will only get the division leader going to the playoffs. Probably won't get that wild card. They have Pollock and Scioscia on the shelf, and the replacements are both batting under 200. That's abysmal. John Jay is not a sexy player by any means, but he's a lifetime 282 hitter, and he's had several seasons above 300. So once they get all healthy and get all the players back, at the very least, he's going to be a good lefty platoon for him for a playoff push.
No, I absolutely agree with you. I love the John Jay pickup. And, more importantly, John Jay has been a part of winning franchises. He was a part of the Cubs whenever they went to the postseason. He was a part of the Cardinals for basically ever during their miraculous stretch of just absolutely dominating the Central. And he was always on teams that won, and he always produced. And years went by, and, he didn't necessarily get the amount of ABs that he's probably going to get this season, but he was always productive, always hitting around 300. And we even had him on the fallacies list yesterday as a guy who potentially is on pace to have 200 hits. So I think it's an excellent pickup. It's a great steal. It's not like he's going to go out there and drop you 20 home runs or anything crazy like that. But for a team that has home run hitters in the lineup, John Jay is that excellent fit to throw at the top of the order to get you on base.
Well, on top of that, he plays center field, and that's very valuable. He can play all three outfield positions, which is actually kind of rare.
Yeah, no, that is pretty rare because most guys look lost. Like it's weird because you're judging the ball off the bat from different angles, but he's serviceable at every single outfield position.
Yeah, I must hate to agree with you guys. It's definitely John Jay to Arizona. Like Jake said, the hanging stats. Brad Miller looked him up today. He just got recalled. He's been sent down to the trade for him. And Kevin Herrera, I feel like I value an everyday player more than a reliever. So I'm going to go with John Jay.
See, I'm actually surprised that was a clean sweep on John Jay.
I thought both of you guys were going to go for Kelvin Herrera.
See, I almost went Herrera, but I just can't. I value a guy who plays every day and bats 3 or 4 times every day, opposed to a guy who comes in once every 3 or 4 games.
Right.
Yeah, I agree with you there. And John Jay, he's absolutely been tearing it up since he's actually joined the Diamondbacks. So we've talked about trades that have already happened. the first of 15 MLB trade deadlines is what it seems like,
Really?
is July 31st. So it's a little over a month away, and, we've seen some chips start to fall in place, but they'll start coming hot and heavy over the next couple weeks, so we'll go ahead and get ahead of the ball. Of the 30 MLB teams, which teams do you think should be the biggest sellers at the deadline?
To me, one of the sellers should definitely be the Toronto Blue Jays. Yesterday, Dylan came on and talked about how J.A. Happ's a good left-handed pitcher, will get a starter, and how a contract into the season. Well, they have a lot of contract in the season. They have Happ, they have Josh Donaldson, Marco Estrada, Steve Pearce, Osuna. As you know, Osuna had the domestic abuse charges against them, so that's a whole other game there. Stroman and Justin Smoke only has an option for next season. But in my eyes, the biggest fish is Josh Donaldson. And they're not going to be able to re-sign him next season because just friends not going to be able to afford it. And in my opinion, all these guys I named will go for a reasonable price if they want to be traded. But Josh Donaldson is the only one who's going to demand a really hefty price. And to me, him going to the Cardinals makes a whole lot of sense. I know the Cardinals don't usually take rentals, but it's not going to cost you as much to re-sign him as you think. If you look at what the Red Sox gave J. Martinez this offseason, it was $110 million over 5 years. And over the past couple of seasons, he's been injured. He only played 113 games last year. He's on a DL for a second time this season right now. And if you look back and see he's been healthy, Martinez has been just as good, if not better. So, if you add that to the fact that Donaldson will be 33 entering next season, I think the Cardinals could definitely re-sign him for lower than $100 million for maybe 3 or 4 seasons. And in my opinion, if they don't make this move, they're not going to have any chance of competing with your guys' Cubs for the next 3 or 4 years without him.
Well, yeah, I agree. They definitely do need to make a move. Their team's not good enough right now to compete in the Central.
No, I definitely agree with that. And I think that trade would actually make a lot of sense. Brandon, who do you have as a seller?
So I actually have a pretty fun team, and that's the Cincinnati Reds. As bad as their record is, they have a great offense. Got several good players. I think they need to move the likes of Scooter Gennett. He's had a 1.5 years of really good baseball underneath the Reds. He was an average to below average player with the Milwaukee Brewers. So we don't even know if this is flash in the pan or if this is actually what he's going to be for the next couple of seasons. He's 28. The Reds' top prospect, who's in Double or Triple A, I'm not for sure. He's a second, third baseman, so they'll want to call him up. Move Gennett to a team like the Phillies, who has a lot of pitching prospects. They also had people like Iglesias that can definitely move really fast, being a relief pitcher. I'd say Votto, but I don't think anybody's taken on giving him $20-25 million until he's 40. So,
and I think that Votto actually has a no trade clause.
Oh, I believe it. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I don't think you could move Votto, but definitely Scooter Gennett and Iglesias. And then in 2 years, I think they're competing actually. So.
No, the Reds are definitely a scary team. I mean, they have 3 guys in the top 20 in average, and the team is completely out of contention. So they have pieces there, and if they could move them for younger players, I think that they would be a great team to be sellers at the deadline. I actually have the Mets. I was big on the Mets early on. I said, as long as this team can stay healthy, they could possibly be in the playoffs. Well, that didn't necessarily happen. Seems like everybody's been in and out of the 10-day DL. Nobody can even hit their body weight on this team. And they have the 28th overall farm system. And they're 13 games below 500 after starting 11-1. So that just shows you how bad things have been for the Mets. And, it seems like the Mets, instead of actually trying to fix the problem, they're just trying to patch holes. I mean, they signed a 37-year-old Jose Bautista thinking that would get things right, and that definitely was not the answer. I mean, you look at Jacob deGrom, leads the MLB in ERA with a 1.69 ERA. You have Syndergaard. You have Jeris Familia as Drupal Cabrera and Yoenis Cespedes. These are guys that you could all move, and you could really take the farm system from being the 28th best in baseball. You move all these pieces you look at Cespedes, what is he doing for your team? You could at least get a mediocre prospect out of that and hope it actually turns into something, because right now he's not doing anything for your team. You get him healthy, you get Thor healthy, you get them off the books, you move them for pieces, and you could potentially be sitting here, 3 years down the road and look back at a time that the Mets were playing really, really bad with really good pieces, and you could turn that into something spectacular down the road. And I would love to see the Mets just go in there and clear house, especially for guys like Syndergaard and DeGrom. Leighton, who's your second seller?
Before we move on to my second seller, quick answer on Syndergaard DeGrom. The only real team that we have connected to them with a prospect or a player has been the Yankees and Gleyber Torres. And Brian Cashman, I guess he thinks all NL East teams are bad doing trades, so that he won't trade Gleyber for DeGrom or Syndergaard. If you're the Mets, do you have to get a prospect like that to trade one of those two guys?
I don't know if you need somebody that's MLB ready as Gleyber Torres, but I think if you get somebody even in the top 25, top 15 maybe of the MLB prospects, and get a couple top 50, then you're fine. Like Drake said, they're 28th in overall farm system. They got to really replenish it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like you hit it perfect. I mean, you don't have to go out there and get the Gleyber Torreses of the world, but you go out there and get some guys who have, great upside. You get 2 or 3 of those guys, you're going to at least get a guy who, down the road, 1 or 2 guys out of these trades that will be playing for you and giving you good quality time out there.
Yeah, I agree with that, actually. I don't think you got to get a player like Gleyber Torres. You just got to get enough assets to feel like you got your fair shake. My other seller are the Orioles. The Orioles have 23 wins, and there's some good players on the roster. And
they're way too talented to have 23 wins.
And if you're going to be facing the season, they're crippled right now because they have Mark Trumbo for 3 more years at $11 million, and Chris Davis until 2050 at $18 million a year.
Freaking stupid.
So basically, here's the tradable assets that they have: Manny Machado, Zach Britton, Adam Jones, all free agents after this season. In my opinion, you gotta move them because you can't afford to re-sign them. Then they have 2 players that are gonna be harder to move, but gonna require a whole lot more. Trey Mancini, he has 1 year of team control left in arbitration, and Dylan Bundy, he starts arbitration next season. This is a team, like I said, they have 23 wins and are just under these humongous contracts to these bad old players right now. So they won't be competitive for a long time. And so for Machado, Britton, and Jones, I think you just want to get going out and get prospects because, like I said, they have 23 wins. They're probably going to shake up the front office this season. Buck Schwartz probably won't be back. So we could see, in my opinion, I think we're going to see an entire new Orioles team after the deadline. And Jonathan Scope, he's not worth a whole lot, but if a team needs second base or just a power at bat, I can see him going with Jonathan Scope.
See, with Jonathan Scope, I think you're going to be selling way too low. But those 3 names you listed at the beginning, I definitely agree with. Obviously, Manny Machado. I think Adam Jones is a huge one to move. I wouldn't be one to pay somebody like Adam Jones when you're this bad. And then if you could get anything okay for Chris Tillman with how little he's pitched over the last 2 years, I think
Tillman is awful.
You completely take this as a win if you get anything for Chris Tillman.
Yeah.
So I think if you can move those 3 players, it really sets you up better for the future if you're the Orioles.
Yeah, I agree. And, you could even throw in like Trey Mancini, as a deal sweetener. I'm going to throw you a couple guys on expiring contracts, and I'll even throw you Trey Mancini just to get my farm system in the right direction and, have success later down the road. Because, they have way too much talent to be sitting there with 23 wins.
Yeah, and when we get to our buyers, we'll talk more about the Orioles, for sure.
B-Reich, who's your second seller?
So my second is another team I think could be good a little bit, is the Chicago White Sox. I definitely think they just have to move Jose Abreu. They need to move into a contender. They've actually been linked to the Rockies a lot. The Rockies don't have the best farm system, but I'm sure they can give a couple pieces for the White Sox. Also, the Yankees have been looking into Jose Abreu. Joakim Soria, setup man, he needs to be moved. A lot of people need good bullpen help. You have the Braves, you have the Dodgers, you even have the Cardinals that need a good 7th, 8th inning guy. Pretty much the White Sox need to move every player that isn't one of their good young talents, because they got Eloy Jimenez coming up. He's not even in the majors. You have Yohan Machado. You need all these people being the centerpieces and then move forward, and in 2 years, hopefully good.
No, I definitely agree with you. And the White Sox, they're definitely on the right trajectory. Like, they have the right idea. I feel like, just moving Jose Abreu kind of puts you one step closer to being where you need to be, especially if you get a guy who's going to be good for your team, 3 or 4 years down the road, because that's really what this team's,
Right.
I guess, contending window will really open up. My second seller is actually the Rangers. And it's another team with a very depleted farm system. They're number 22nd overall in the MLB. But they have 6 everyday starters that are 25 or younger. So you're looking at guys on that team. That's a 39-year-old Adrian Beltre, who's hitting north of 300. You have a 34-year-old Cole Hamels, who gave up 7 home runs in his first 4 starts. But since then, he's had a 3.07 ERA in his last 11 games. So he's kind of figured things out, and he's back in the right direction. I think that if you could really package those two together, I mentioned it yesterday on Ducks on the Pond, that you could look at a team like the Phillies, who could really use that extra bat in their lineup with Beltre, kind of get creative with your lineups to get him in there every day. And Cole Hamels would slot well as their third starter. And, we've seen it time and time again that if you're going to compete and do well in the postseason, you're going to have 3 Bulldogs that you can ride, because it seems like that has been the success. You get some guys who can hit on a team, you get 3 Bulldog starters, have a decent bullpen, and you're right up there with the best of them. So we've kind of talked about sellers. Leighton, you go ahead and start us off. What team do you have as a big buyer at the deadline?
Basically, in my eye, the biggest buyers are all teams from the Western Conferences. The Angels and Mariners, and then the Dodgers, Diamondbacks, and Rockies. I don't see the Giants going in just buyer mode, because another way they've done things. I talked about earlier with Adam Jones. I think Adam Jones could go to any of those NL West teams and make an immediate impact, or the Angels, because Cole Calhoun is having an absolutely abysmal season. I think he's a lot of help out there in the outfield. And I was talking about earlier the Orioles, Manny Machado. I have 2 big buyers for him. And I think in order to move him, you're going to have to package him with Zach Britton, who, since he came off the DL, has 6 appearances, 1 save. He's given up 6 hits and 4 earned runs, but 5 of those hits and all 4 of those runs came in the same outing. So he's had 1 bad day. The first team is the Dodgers. They have, according to a lot of websites, a top 10 farm system, so they can they can just load down, double and triple A prospects and get him to the Orioles, and then put him at shortstop, and then hope maybe be able to re-sign him, move him to third base, and move him turn around a little bit. And it's really hard for me seeing the Dodgers being outbid for Manny Machado, especially when the Yankees think they're going to be able to sign him this offseason to a monster deal. The other team I have as a buyer that's not out west is the Cubs. The Cubs, you guys know the Cubs offense hasn't been the greatest thing past month or so. And
we just got swept by the Reds. It's a sore subject.
Yeah,
okay, well,
bad.
Earlier,
mainly pitching, but yeah.
Well, earlier I just went back 10 games. You guys only scored 5 or more runs twice in 10 games. So the offense hasn't been the best thing around. So you guys can definitely use the boost in Machado. And I think Britton Machado package, if you give up Addison Russell and then Happ or Schwarber and then maybe a prospect or 2, you can be able to swing that and get what people used to consider the best closer in baseball, and in my opinion, one of the top 5 overall players in baseball. I think we'll take Happ over Schwarber, though, because we've seen less of Happ, and we kind of, at this point, he has projected to be better than Schwarber is.
See, well, I would disagree with that. I think Schwarber is a better player than Happ is, all in all. I think I'd be so happy to get rid of Happ. But I honestly don't think that the Cubs will make a move for Machado. I definitely don't see that. But
I would love to get Machado. I would love to get Machado and Britton. I absolutely would as a Cubs fan.
Would you give
that puts
up?
us right in position. Huh?
We did that trade. Talked about Addison Russell and Happ or Schwarber, and then maybe a couple prospects for Britton Machado.
The whole issue I have with the thing is that I think it's going to be a clean sweepstakes for Machado next year. I don't think it's going to be based on where he goes this offseason. So I think we're just wasting talent that we can use other places if we're going after Machado.
So you don't think can we sign Machado?
I don't think that's gonna. I think whoever gives Machado the most money, that's a contender, is gonna get it. I don't think it matters if you were on the team or not.
I agree with you there. I agree with you there. I think the only way that you could possibly sway Machado is if you won a World Series in his walk-off year, and him being a part of a good ball club would definitely help.
So you guys would do that trade? Yes? No?
I would be very hesitant.
Yeah, I would take a long look at it. I would be leaning more towards the yes side, though, just because I feel like, if you threw Machado into that lineup, I think his numbers actually increase, which is almost impossible to think about.
Well, at least I got half an answer from one of you guys.
The roster would be scary. But I actually have the Brewers as my big buyer. They need pitching, and they need pitching bad. They definitely have enough hitters. They are still in first place in the Central, which I still don't understand. But I think they could go after Hamels or Tyson Ross. Tyson Ross is having a bounce-back year, so that's great if they could get him off the books. And then, the Brewers have some decent position player prospects. They don't really have positions for them in the majors, so they could easily swing that deal, I feel.
Yeah, I really think that the Brewers should definitely try to add something to their team, because I feel like the Brewers are a really good baseball team, but I just don't think that they're a championship-level baseball team.
No, I don't think so either.
Sense.
I don't think anybody does think they are. So.
No, I agree with you. Leighton, you said that the Giants, you couldn't see them going out and making a move, but I actually have a guy that would make absolute perfect sense for the Giants to go out and get, and that's JT Realmuto. And this guy is absolutely killing it this year. He's hitting over 300, and he's been an extra base hit machine. I know if you look at his RBIs, I think he only has 32 RBIs compared to 31 extra base hits. So that's just showing you the lack of production in his lineup. And he's still able to hit for average, which is really hard to do if you don't have anybody else on your team. And I think that if they got Realmuto, they could slide Posey to first base like they've talked about. Cappy actually hit on it a lot at the beginning of the season, how the Giants are wanting to slowly transition him to first base. That way they can rely on him more just offensively. And if you look at Posey's numbers, whenever he's played first this year, his offensive production has actually went up. And he's only played 15% of his games at first base, but he has 20% of his runs, 25% of his walks, 20% of his home runs, and he only has one strikeout in 10 games playing at first base. So I feel like that's kind of a load lifted off of his shoulders. He doesn't have to worry as much defensively, and he is able to play first base at a high level. So I think that if they got Realmuto there to play to catch full time over Posey, move Posey to first base, and then move Brandon Belt to a position where he's more fit in the outfield, and you sit Hunter Pence, who's hitting like a $190, I think that would add instant firepower to that offensive lineup, and I think that would make the Giants the clear-cut favorite in the West in the second half of the season.
Yeah, I was going to question you, actually where you're going to put Brandon Belt at. Because he's batting 300 with, I think 15 home runs. But
no, you're not going to put a guy like that on the bench.
Yeah, I was wondering where you're going to put him at in your scenario.
I instantly Googled Brandon Belt. That's what I was doing on the phone right then.
No,
I gotta figure it out.
I'm on the same page.
He's played half of his career in the outfield, so I think that a guy like Hunter Pence, who's really not doing anything for you, he has 3 extra base hits all season. He's hitting 190. He's doing nothing for your team. So you move Brandon Belt out there, and you're looking at one of the scariest offensive lineups in the MLB.
Okay. Yeah.
I honestly hadn't thought about that.
No, I like Realmuto a whole lot.
I really like him. Oh,
and honestly, another team that I could see going after Realmuto would be the Red Sox. And nobody's really talked about Realmuto going anywhere. And at the beginning of the season, he was sitting there, kind of complaining about his front office, saying how he felt like he was the odd man out. Here he is, a very, very good catcher. As if you take into consideration offense and defensive, he's one of the top 10 catchers in the MLB, and he's sitting there just being wasted away on a team who's not very good. And if you did send him to a team like the Red Sox, I think it would be easy money to be able to re-sign a guy like that. And your offense is going to go up exponentially because you have Sandy Leon and Christian Vasquez, who's hitting, 200.
Yeah.
Their body weight. Yep.
Yeah. How do you have a scenario where we can get JT Realmuto?
No, because all your prospects got popped for PEDs, so you guys are in a little bit of trouble there.
You'd have to trade somebody like Devers or something to get him. So.
And why the fuck we would do the trade Devers for Lamito? I don't know. Not about to figure something out.
Pretty good. But really good. One thing I want to say about the Dodgers is you kept on just bringing on Manny Machado. They have one of the worst bullpens in the MLB. I absolutely think they need to swing something for a bullpen arm. You got a lot of bullpen arms. You get
them both, man. You get them both.
You have Iglesias. You have Familia, like you talked about earlier. Brock. You got a lot of players. So I definitely think they could be swinging for at least a bullpen arm. I guess the story was out. They actually want to stay underneath the luxury tax this year for the first time in like 5 years. So they could go after Manny Machado, Bryce Harper, those people in the offseason. So a lot of people are hesitant to think that they'll swing a big deal, but definitely the trade deadline's not going to be a trade deadline unless the Dodgers make a move. So,
yeah,
I'll be ready to see that.
Yeah, the Dodgers have to strike first.
So
do you have any other buyers?
No, that's it.
B-Rock, you have any buyers?
Nope.
I actually have one more.
All right.
Of course you do.
Okay, Drake gets 3. We just get to go 2, but let's hear it.
No. The one was a package deal. It was Romito going somewhere.
Right,
but the other one actually ties back into the Rangers, and that's the Phillies. I said it yesterday on Ducks on the Pond. I would really like to see them make the move after Beltre. I said it how he could slot right in, be an extra bat for that team. And you're looking at a team that's really, really young. You can get a guy in there like Beltre who is a proven veteran in the game, kind of coach those guys up. Same thing with Cole Hamels. I think that if they were able to pull off a deal and get Cole Hamels and get Beltre, who are going to expire I think both of their contracts are up in 2 years. The Phillies are that team that have been scared to death to do any long-term deals since the Ryan Howard thing went down. I think that those would be 2 great veterans for the Phillies to actually bring in and would make them very, very scary come postseason time.
So you want to hear something funny?
I always do.
So I was looking at sellers, so what did I instantly think of? The San Diego Padres, right?
Yep.
Right.
Google the San Diego Padres trade deadline, and all I saw was them trying to go after and buy players.
Oh,
I
no.
think I heard something about this, actually.
Yeah.
Buster Olney or someone said that they could be buyers. Like, what are they going to be buying?
I don't know, but
I don't think they realize how that
Padres
championship thing works in baseball.
They got Eric Hosmer. They think they got it.
Yeah, I think that would be absolutely crazy for the Padres to go out and try to get anybody at the deadline.
Wait, Jake, you think Padres are crazy to try and get players?
Yeah, I do think the Padres are crazy.
For trying to improve their team? Do you think they're crazy to try and get better?
Yes, I do think they're crazy to try to win now.
That's a really crazy thought. Do you have any other crazy thoughts for us today?
Actually, I do.
It was all a dream. I used to read Wrote Up magazine.
Markelle Fultz, the greatest NBA highlight, came out this week on his Instagram. Just him, nobody else in the gym, nobody guarding him. Philadelphia 76ers apparently were worried about not having their guard who can't shoot healthy for next season. So they traded for Zhaire Smith. Colin Sexton, already the greatest point guard in Cleveland history, to wear number 2. Brooklyn Nets, the team that wanted Jahlil Okafor, D'Angelo Russell, Timothy Mozgov, and a 50-year-old Kevin Durant and Paul Pierce, wouldn't even let Dwight Howard on their court. Let's not let that distract us from the time that he beat LeBron James in a playoff series. Trae Young, maroon suit, that included shorts. Good try, but not even LeBron wanted you. Bryce Harper, out of D.C. faster than you can say, shaved his beard for Steinbrenner. Bryce Harper, 1 game of going 10 for 10 away from hitting his body weight. Any kindergarten kid in the world has a better chance to read the Harry Potter series than Marcel Ozuna has to read a fly ball. And Sauce on the Side has a new segment out this week, and it's titled Shittiest Take of the Week, and it was inspired by Colin Cowherd. And those have been my thoughts.
Good segue.
Thank you for sharing, Drake.
Well, thank you very much. So that kind of segues us in to a new segment that we're going to start doing here on Sauce on the Side. Every week, it seems like we're always texting each other, talking about an atrocious take and how these people that are, in the limelight continue to get views and continue to get people to listen to them. And, the average sports fan that doesn't dive into any of this stuff would just sit there like a lamb and follow along and think that this person is actually right, i.e. Colin Cowherd. And so we have started a new segment, and it should be a weekly thing, and it's going to be titled, we'll at least write it out through until actual sports come back on and we're not going to be forced to talk about the World Cup. And it's actually going to be titled Shittiest Take of the Week. And Leighton, what take did you hear this week?
Well, this week, one of my favorite people on the planet, Alex Rodriguez, was giving his All-Stars starters, and his outfield consisted of Mike Trout, Aaron Judge. I cannot remember the last guy it was, but it was not Mookie Betts. Here are all the stats that Aaron Judge leads Mookie Betts in. He played in 15 more games, had 67 more play appearances, 11 more RBIs, 23 more walks, 67 more strikeouts, and 5 more double plays. Meanwhile, they have the same number of home runs, and I didn't write down the numbers, but Mookie is legitimately batting 60 points higher than Aaron Judge. So, Alex Rodriguez, I would love for you, if you're listening, to come on the podcast and explain your logic in picking Aaron Judge over Mookie Betts star in the outfield.
Does he have a higher WAR?
No, Mookie had a higher WAR than Aaron Judge.
Oh, man, I'm going to say that's all that matters.
I was looking at that, actually, and his team was ridiculous. He used, for one, he was talking about how all these guys needed to have durability and they needed to play, 150 games to consider to be on his team. And then he threw Justin Turner at third base. Justin Turner's played over 130 games like one time in his career. And, before he had one good postseason series against the Dodgers, he was a second thought. Like, your best third baseman, Alex Rodriguez, you played third base. How is Justin Turner the guy that you look at and you say, yep, he's durable. He's my guy.
He hit a game changer for the Dodgers, man.
Well, here's the thing, is it's really easy to use arguments for your actual thoughts, but then when it works against it, then you don't even acknowledge it, you just go past it. And that's pretty much why we made this segment.
Yep. And,
it was terrible. B-Rock, what is your shittiest take of the week?
Well, I had a pretty good one. So old Jalen Rose is on the good show called Get Up with Mike Greenberg. They were talking about the draft, and more particularly, they were talking about the trade that happened between the Hawks and Mavs. Well, Jalen Rose had to say this. He loves the Trae Young to the Hawks. It's a perfect fit on the Hawks, and even a better fit in the Eastern Conference, because let me put it this way. Who would you rather have on your team today? Kyle Lowry or Trae Young?
What did he follow that up with?
Mike Greenberg was like, whoa, you can't say that. And he was like, I don't know. And then they just segued away.
So it was just like, Trae Young, better than Kyle Lowry. Mic drop.
Yes, mic drop, basically. And first of all, it was like nobody was talking about players in the Eastern Conference. He just brought that up. And then on top of that, he didn't give one fact to why he worked well with the Hawks. Just because they have no other players? Maybe he'll get to shoot erratically like he did in Oklahoma? I don't know. That was just a very, very bad take.
No, that's a terrible take. Trae Young isn't even the best point guard on their team now.
Yeah, Dennis Schroeder's better. And it just made no sense. The whole fact that he tried to tell me that Trae Young, a player that couldn't even win a game in the postseason, is better than Kyle Lowry. That's
crazy. That's absolutely crazy. Perennial All-Star Kyle Lowry, not as good as Trae Young. And you heard it there first. So I said that Cowherd actually inspired this segment, and I'm actually going to go right after a Cowherd take.
Thank God.
So this week, I believe it was on Tuesday, I got notified. This is such a bad take that I had to get notified of it. That he compared DeAndre Jordan to DeAndre Ayton. And he said, yep, all they do is catch lobs. That is absolutely ridiculous. So I really think that the only reason why he compared a DeAndre to a DeAndre is because they have the same first name and they're both centers. So you look at DeAndre Jordan, he's shorter and smaller than DeAndre Ayton. And all he does is catch lobs. But that don't take away from DeAndre Ayton's game just to fit the mold for your segment. DeAndre Ayton, in his career at Arizona, okay, do you think that he has more three-point shots made than DeAndre Jordan has in his 9-year NBA career?
Oh,
the
yes.
Answer?
Yes.
11 more. He made 11 more three-pointers in one season at Arizona than DeAndre Jordan has made in his lifetime in the NBA, which is 9 seasons. You think, well, it's just because the line's shorter, and he's able to shoot that because the line's shorter. No. You look at free throw percentages. DeAndre Ayton's free throw percentage at Arizona, which college, NBA, it's the same length, 73%. DeAndre Jordan, 44%. DeAndre Jordan, yes, catches lobs, dunks the ball. Yes, he's a better defender and rebounder than DeAndre Ayton. But as far as offensive production, which that's what he hit on. If you want to say all he is a big man that gets rebounds and he can score a little bit, I would have been fine with that. But just saying that this guy catches lobs is probably the worst statement you could make about a guy who is maybe the most polished finisher as a big that we've seen in the college game.
It's just really, really lazy scouting.
No,
like,
it is.
super lazy. Like, oh, I'm going to watch film with this guy for 5 minutes, then go to the next prospect.
No. Do you want to know what he prefaced it with?
What?
I watched 4 games of DeAndre Ayton.
That's just...
I don't think he did. I don't think he watched full games. No way. Say that.
Well, you want to know what's... Like, I was going to make this take, so I know a little bit about it, but he also said he doesn't like the NBA draft because all the players he has never seen and only seen them once, and he uses Mo Bamba as his reference for that. If you have only seen Mo Bamba once, then you shouldn't be talking college basketball.
No,
at least not about Mo Bamba, at least.
Hey, and he said he only watched him once, so we're talking about DeAndre Ayton, the guy he scouted 4 times harder than anybody else, and he's comparing DeAndre Ayton to DeAndre Jordan. So that's probably the most crazy thing I've ever heard of. It's like, listen, you get paid to talk. There are people that actually get paid to watch these guys full time around the clock, so they probably know a little bit more about you. Probably the worst take I've ever heard as far as comparing 2 guys to one another. I mean, you're talking about DeAndre Ayton, who in the NBA averaged like 15 rebounds a game, just an absolute monster on the glass. Ayton, not a bad rebounder by any stretch of the imagination, but I mean, 11 rebounds in college is no 15 rebounds in the NBA. You're talking about 2 separate style guys and terrible, terrible takes.
Can I add one more? It's a local show. Okay.
Yeah.
Fine.
We'll let you.
So in North Texas, there is a very, very popular show called The Fan. It basically just talks all Dallas sports. They were talking about the LeBron free agency and where he should go. And they said, hell, he should come to the Mavericks. And somebody's like, well, where do you think that puts him? He says, the second best team in the West.
Very, very interesting take.
Okay. Are they the same guys that talk about Josh Allen being good because he has big hands?
Yes. They are funny, but when it comes to Dallas sports, it's like a regular local show, so...
I love it. I love it. No humorism there. So we'll go ahead and segue off of some bad takes. And I teased it earlier that we had Nino Alibegic, kicker for Hawaii, star of Last Chance U, Season 3, actually be coming out next month. So, guys, hopefully you enjoy this interview. Okay, Dippers, today we have a very, very special guest for you today. Today we're actually going to be interviewing former Arizona Western All-Conference kicker, All-American kicker from Independence Community College, newest kicker to the University of Hawaii. You will grow to love him on Season 3 of the Netflix hit Last Chance U, which will be released July 20th. Nino Alibegic, welcome to the kennel.
Thank you for having me. It's a big honor, and I'm excited.
Okay, so I read an article on Athlete Nation, which details a very, very interesting story of yourself and your bring-up. Can
kind of summarize that and tell us how you ended up as a senior in high school in Boise, Idaho, deciding to take on football as your next challenge.
I played soccer my whole life, so it's all I knew growing up. It was all in my household. It's all I watched. And my senior year summer, when we'd have soccer workouts, and then the football team would practice right after because we had to share the turf with them. And one of my teammates, Jonah Dalmas, he's one of my best friends. He at the time he was their kicker, and he was the previous season. He was a first team all conference kicker, punter, and me and him were just kind of kicking a football around. And it was after one of our practices, and one of the coaches said, "You ever kicked with?" My head coach Scott Kreiner, he said, "You ever kicked with helmet pads on?" I said, "No, sir," but so if you want to come out, you can. So that was kind of it was cool to get an opportunity, small, big, whatever it was. Even if it was just high school, I was really excited to. So I thought it would be something I would try to take on, and ended up going to a couple practices, kind of figuring out the simple fundamentals of kicking, and it just took off from there.
Right. So we see a lot of guys, come to prominence. They were soccer players that turn over to be kickers for, whether it's college, high school, NFL level. What is different about kicking in soccer than actually kicking in a football game?
Well, I remember when I first got my tee in my football, I was trying to kick the football the same way I would a soccer ball. And, I'd get the power, but it would just either go left, right, anywhere you could imagine that ball would go. So it was honestly a little difficult and frustrating at first, trying to get down, how I'm supposed to do this, because I was so familiar with kicking already because it'd been in soccer. So I thought it would be a smoother transition, but it was a little difficult. And there are big differences because your hip placement, where you're facing, there's so many little variables and fundamentals you have to teach yourself and grow into to make sure you aren't tanking kicks like how a soccer player normally would.
Right.
When they first start kicking, yeah.
Right. So is it true that you never actually kicked in a game in high school?
I just did. Jonah, he was a field goal kicker, a punter, kickoff, and it wasn't. I didn't care about football how I do now. Obviously, during the season, during high school, I mean, if I just sat the whole game on the bench, I wouldn't complain because I knew it wasn't my first sport. But only thing I did in game was I did some kickoffs. Me and Jonah would rotate here and there. And kickoffs, they were a little safe. I think the coaches were probably safer with me doing kickoffs at that time because field goals and PATs, they were still flying all over the place. So I could boot one on kickoffs. So that's really all I did during high school. I never attempted any field goals or anything like that. So.
Right. So, you really didn't have any game film going into, hopes of a college scholarship to kick at the next level. How exactly did you get started at Arizona Western?
Thanks to my buddy, Zach Bennett. He went to Arizona Western, and he stayed his 2 years there. And now he's at Florida Atlantic. But he was committed there after our high school season ended, and he kind of told me about, hey, you could be. He was kind of telling me, if you came here, they'll give you a shot and all this, and it was something I really looked into, and I was going to go to a different college, Pima Community College, with my stepbrother, because he's committed there, but seeing as what Zach was telling me, I wanted to be in the best position to succeed, so I knew Zach having my back that it'd be a smoother transition going into my first actual football season, if that makes sense. Because it was I didn't know really anything. Still, I didn't really pay attention to the season and how everything kind of goes during the fall during my senior year. So Zach being at Arizona Western and him going there was it was easier for me to make my way there.
Right. After Arizona Western, you spent a year there, and you ended up transferring to Independence Community College in Kansas. Whenever you made that move, were you aware that Last Chance U was going to be coming to your school?
No, I wasn't. That was the crazy thing is I spent 6-7 months there at Arizona Western, and at the very end of the season, it was just things with scholarship money and things like that, and it just didn't. Me and the coach didn't see eye to eye as far as that went, and for me to get some more school paid for, I thought going somewhere like Independence, where Coach Brown, he was really close with me. He was talking to me, and some of the other coaching staff, they talked to me and everything. So I felt more familiar going there, but I didn't know that they were going to have the show at all. I just took Coach Brown's word for it that, he's going to take care of me, make sure I do well off the field and on the field. That's all I really needed to hear from him to get me there.
Right. So, you had basically one full season as a full-time kicker, and then the very next season, you have all these people following you around with cameras, every day of practice probably being recorded. What was it like having people document basically your whole entire season last year?
It was really different, but also I'm very thankful for the experience that I went through. And it was at first when the camera crew and Netflix and all them, when they came by, everyone kind of everyone wanted to jump in front of the camera. Everyone wanted some camera time, and it was a little weird. And some people were I feel like some people just wanted to get their time on camera, which I understand. I see. But after the first couple of weeks, we kind of eased into it. We realized that, we're doing what we have to do, and they're doing their job. We both have a job. And I think one of the things that most people, I don't think would realize, but the JUCO, it can be hard. The whole process of JUCO, class, work, everything we have to go through. I think the cameras help you be a better person too, because it's not, you want to act good and all that, but it really helps you kind of shape up what could lead later on in your life. If you go to the NFL, even if you go D1, there's still reporters, media. So it was just cool getting that experience, having the cameras kind of follow us. But yeah, it was a little weird at first, but after that first kind of couple weeks, month, it was just like every day.
Right. And you kind of hinted at it there. You said, if you do go Division I, and you were able to parlay this opportunity of going to Independence Community College. Not only did you get, you got your time in the limelight with the camera and all that, but you were able to parlay that to a scholarship with the University of Hawaii. How did you end up deciding to go to Hawaii? And take us through that process of them actually recruiting you.
I was talking to some other schools such as TCU, Utah, some other Mountain West schools, Division II schools, and it comes down to where I can be to succeed 10, 20, 30 years later down in life. And Hawaii is one of those places where some people just, some people want to go to a school based off records and things like that, which, I understand completely. But Hawaii, for me, it just seemed like a fit where I knew when I took my visit, I knew at that time that, I could do great here. As far as off the field, keep my name growing and helping out. And then on the field, it's really, I don't think, as far as the kicker position goes, I don't think you can beat Hawaii. I mean, it's great weather all around. You have perfect weather throughout the whole year. And when it comes down to it, you know, if you get the opportunity to go to the NFL, especially as a kicker, from what I've heard from coaches all across D1 schools, they'll tell you is it doesn't matter what the weather is, if it's good or bad. What they see, if it goes in, that's all that matters in their eyes. So that was another thing that's a really nice benefit to have is good weather. That's definitely big for a kicker.
Oh yeah, that's huge. And you look like Hawaii's kicker. Like the hair, like everything, the tan, like you just look like you would be kicking for Hawaii. And it is probably the most perfect relationship I've ever seen.
Thank you. That's, you know, for me, it was just a feel of being there because I wasn't born there, but I lived there for about 8 years, and I wanted to leave the island at first for soccer during 8th grade, and I kind of wanted to leave because I didn't feel I like it, but you kind of grew up now, saw some things, and it's just perfect. It's paradise.
Right. Well, Nino, it was an honor having you on. I'll definitely be looking forward. I'll definitely be watching Season 3 of Last Chance U. Be checking that out. Get to know you a little more through there. And we'll definitely be rooting for you in Hawaii. Good luck to you, buddy.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me on.
Oh, it was a pleasure. Thank you.
All right, thanks again, Nino. That was an excellent interview. Definitely enjoyed having you on. So now we're going to segue to the segment we have whenever Brandon's on. This is one of the segments I look forward to most. It is called Be Reich, the Hot Take Detective. So if you guys don't know anything about me and Brandon, I always come up with these brilliant takes. They're spot on. I'm always right. And Brandon always tries to find holes in my takes and always disprove me. I think the only reason why Brandon watches sports is just to argue with me about them. So I'm going to give Brandon a take, and he is going to tell me whether or not I am right with my take or I'm wrong with my take. And take number 1. The Cleveland Cavaliers just drafted Colin Sexton. And with the core team of Colin Sexton, Rodney Hood, Kevin Love, and Tristan Thompson, that team is still good enough to make the playoffs in the East.
Yeah, I'm 100% going to disagree with this. So that roster is maybe good enough to make the 8th seed, but that's like if they really push it. So this is what $107 million has going for them right now. Okay, they have Kevin Love, Tristan Thompson, George Hill, Jordan Clarkson, J.R. Smith, Kyle Korver, Larry Nance, Colin Sexton, C.J. Osman. That's $107 million. That's not even including That's not even including Rodney Hood, who they would have to re-sign to a contract, who I think they're going to lose to somebody. So you're already losing
qualifying offers like $3 million.
He's not. He has to accept the qualifying offer. He's not taking $3 million of a qualifying offer for 1 year.
He will after that postseason performance.
Oh yeah. That he played like 2 games. So I just don't even see how you're gonna. I don't even see after Kevin Love, they have almost no offensive players, especially if they're going to lose Rodney Hood. Your second best offensive player is an aging J.R. Smith who's on Hennessy all the time, and Kyle Korver, maybe Jordan Clarkson. I mean, that team is not better than the Wizards. That team's not better than the Bucks. That's a 7 and 8 seed from this past season.
Yeah, but John Wall was hurt a lot, and John Wall was hurt, and the Bucks had Joe Prunty coaching the team, which was kind of a mess. Those teams will be a little bit better. They just have to be better than the Pistons.
Well, the Pistons didn't make the playoffs, so...
Yeah, I know. The Pistons were the 9 seed, so as long as they're better than the Pistons, your 8
so
teams will remain the same.
You think a team with Reggie Jackson, Andre Drummond, and Blake Griffin is worse than the team that I just listed off to you?
Yeah.
Their top 3 players are Kevin Love, Tristan Thompson, and Jordan Clarkson right now. Maybe George Hill. You think that is better than Reggie Jackson, Blake Griffin, and Andre Drummond?
The last time I saw Kevin Love play first fiddle for a team, he had Ricky Rubio and Kenyon Martin as a second best option. It was in the West, and they still won 40 games.
They never made the playoffs, though.
They were a fringe playoff team. Hey, a fringe playoff team in the West is a lock in the East.
Yeah, no, they'll have a good time in the 10th seed. So
you don't think that there's any way that they make the playoffs?
Not $107 million with one star player.
Colin Sexton. Turn things around.
Yeah. Him and that, oh, Lord. Okay, go on.
So you disagree?
100%.
Okay. So I'm 0 for 1. I honestly think I'm going to get you on this one. So I mentioned the guy earlier. JT Realmuto is the most valuable bang for your buck non-pitching asset that any team in the MLB could add to their team at the deadline.
So I was looking at the stats, and I was thinking Scooter Gennett be pretty close. All really Scooter Gennett has on him is a better batting average, slightly better on base. But yeah, for the bang for the buck, he's actually not even an unrestricted free agent until 2021. Right now, he's making $2.9 million. He'll hit arbitration, make a little bit more. But yeah, I mean, it's you're getting unreal production from this guy. I just have a feeling Jeter's going to mess this up and going to trade him for little like pennies on the dollar that he could get for him. Jeter needs to hold on to this guy, and he could get a big haul for him if he just plays his cards right. So I'm actually going to agree with you on this one.
Right.
He's actually I'd say, other than Wilson Contreras, he's my favorite catcher. And that's only because I'm a Cubs fan.
Okay. I'll definitely take that. So 1 for 1. Usually if I get one, I'm doing pretty good. And I think I know where this one's going to go, but I legitimately think that I am 100% right on this. The 76ers must be very happy to see that Fultz is shaking off the yips, because they did not do anything on draft night to make their team better for next year.
Well, I'm also going to disagree with this one. Okay. So this is actually going to be an unpopular opinion for me. But, I mean, I don't think Mikal Bridges is going to be like a long-term option. Yes, you said next year. But they have $30 million in cap space. They didn't need to build through the draft. They were going to get a backup shooting guard at best. And you also have Fultz going to be sliding into that position possibly. You have a big free agent possibly coming in with the $30 million they have. So I don't think that's as big of an issue as you're making it out to be. On top of that, they got probably the best shooter in the league. I mean, in the college ranks, Shaman coming from Wichita State. And the guy that got in the second round might be a position, rotation player at the end. One good thing about that player they got from Texas Tech. The guy is very good defensively, 6'5", athletic as hell, can jump out of the gym. He actually guarded Mo Bamba when they played Texas. So that's actually pretty impressive. I'm not huge on the Mikal Bridges trading them, but they also got a pick in return that might help them land another big player in a trade. If I was Brett Brown making the decisions, I think I would have done the same thing logically. A lot of reports have come out that it was very close with them with Bridges and Zhaire Smith. So basically, you got your next best player that you wanted, plus a first unprotected draft pick. I think they made the right decision, and I think that's better for their future.
Can I chime in real quick, Jake, if you don't mind?
Yes.
Yeah, take the floor.
2 things. Did you know who Zhaire Smith was before the draft?
Yes, because he was the best player in Texas Tech.
Okay.
He could dunk. Guess what every player in the NBA can do?
That's not true. T.J. McConnell's never dunked in a game in his life.
Okay, continue, Leighton.
1 second.
He's picking up T.J. McConnell's slack.
Yeah.
That's just what he's doing. That's the problem.
I have a fun fact for you.
What?
Do you know how many more three-pointers he made than DeAndre Ayton in his college career? Or at least last season?
Well, they both only played one season, so I don't know.
So, yes. 6.
Well, he actually shot. He made 45% of the ones he took, so he's just efficient, man.
And the next thing about Zhaire Smith, you say he got Mo Bamba at when they played Texas. Well, in those games, Mo Bamba shot 80%, 100%, and 60% from the field.
He probably just did the 60%.
and
so
have
is
11
taller-
and had 11, 10, and 14 rebounds. So I don't think Zhaire Smith they're both as shit at guarding Mo Bamba.
Well, okay, yes, but he's also 6'5", and Mo Bamba's what, 6'11"? So
You said like it was your big point.
he's a good defensive player. Was the point I was making? He can
Clearly.
guard.
Shuts down
Yeah,
the 7-footers.
Oh man, Layton, have you guarded people 6 inches taller than you?
Yeah, it's pushing
It's
out of the
tough.
lane.
Yeah, no, you don't move shit out of the lane, Layton. You get dunked on. Shut your ass up.
Well, apparently he did that a lot for Mo Bamba to shoot 100% in a game.
Yeah.
But so you disagree?
You think that Mikal Bridges is going to make them NBA championship team? What is their aspirations? You think that is going to make them an NBA championship team next year?
I think he made them better. I'm not saying that they would have been a champion just because we're right in the middle of one of the best dynasties we've ever seen, but I think it made them closer to where they need to be.
I don't think that swings the pendulum at all. He's worse than JJ Redick was last year. So that doesn't swing the pendulum at all. It makes their team worse, honestly. So I mean, what's the point? You're building for a future. You're getting another asset that you could maybe trade for Kawhi Leonard.
Okay.
I mean,
Okay.
That's fair. And
Okay.
Fultz is the youngest guy with a triple-double in NBA history. So
I am wrong.
yeah,
Okay. I did actually see that that teams were comparing Zhaire Smith out of college very similar to how they compared Kawhi Leonard coming out of college, and that the 76ers' sole plan with getting the extra pick and Zhaire Smith was to maybe package the two together to send them to San Antonio, which if that is what happens, hats off to them. They killed it on draft night. But until they are able to pull that off, I'm going to stand on that take, and I think it's going to be true come the NBA season. All right, now we're going to get back to a staple of the show. And for all of you dippers out there, we're going to play a little darts.
Pew, 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 pew. We're playing darts, baby.
For all of you at home that don't know how darts works, each of us will go around the table. We'll throw one dart at a dartboard. Each one of the darts represents something. This week, we're going to do drink or stink. We will throw a dart. It'll land on the dartboard. And each number will represent a different drink or beverage that we will either say we like, so we'll drink it, or we'll stink it and put it away. Latency, producer, your throw.
We have a 3, which is Diet Coke. Ooh, Diet Coke. Diet Coke. Diet Coke is kind of a bad rep for people. You see people drinking it and they think, wow, what a bitch. But I don't feel like a Diet Coke. And if I feel like a Diet Coke, I'm going to drink a Diet Coke. It's not the best soda in the world. It's definitely not the worst. I can get down a Diet Coke, so I will drink a Diet Coke.
See, Diet Coke is just an excuse to be able to go to McDonald's, get a number one, supersize it, and say, give me that Diet Coke with it. Because guess what? You made a healthy option, which at the end of the day, you're still drinking soda, so it's not a healthy option.
have you noticed a lot of the larger people in the world usually drink diet sodas?
I have.
Absolutely.
Because I think it's exactly what you said. They use it as an excuse, and also Diet Coke just tastes freaking awful.
Yes,
what are
it
we
does.
talking about? It's like, okay, I'm on a desert island, and there's a Diet Coke sitting there. I might die from dehydration, so I'll think about that Diet Coke. But not before then, not a second before. It's bad. That's a stink.
It tastes like it. It tastes like it could be a Diet Coke or it tastes like it could be good if it was an actual just regular Coke.
Yeah, you get that touch of Cokeness, and then the rest of it's just bad. Like, it's got that weird taste initially and a weird aftertaste. It's
See,
a
just
strange
Just like every
thing.
other diet soda.
You guys haven't given it a chance. When the last time you had Diet Coke?
I give it a lot of chances. My mom is a strict Diet Coke drinker, old Deb, and I drank out of her Diet Coke all the time. And every time I was like, why did I just do that?
I feel like Diet Coke's one of those things that's like an acquired taste. But like if you're gonna go drink a soda, why do I have to acquire a taste for that?
You shouldn't. Well, why
You
would you drink
absolutely
a lesser? Why would you drink a lesser product?
Because it's got the word diet on it, Brandon.
It's got
And
zero
it has
calories.
0 calories, baby.
It's got 0 calories. Yep.
That's all that matters. So,
We'll tally that one up for the supersized number one from the Mickey D's.
Diet Coke, stink.
Absolute stink. All right, B-Reich, your throw. Hopefully land on something better than Diet Coke.
We have a 13. Dr. Pepper.
Ooh, Dr. Pepper.
He has a doctorate, and that's pretty impressive because Mr. Pibb just, he's normal. But Dr. Pepper's pretty solid. I honestly don't drink it that often, but every time I do, I definitely leave satisfied. I'm going to drink this one.
Yeah, I think I agree with you. I'm not a big soda guy, so I don't drink soda often. But if I had to look at like the best sodas that there are, you obviously have like root beer up there, you have cream soda, and then you could honestly make a push for, Dr. Pepper being up there with the elites, and people say that it's very comparable to Mr. Pibb, but it's actually a step above Mr. Pibb because, Mr. is only a Mr. and Dr. Pibb has his doctorate.
He went to at least 6 years of college.
Yeah.
That's how you get the 23 flavors. You have to go the extra years to acquire the flavors.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah. The 23 flavors.
Dr. Pepper, what is it exactly? It's not a cola.
It's not, because it's not a Coke, or it's definitely distinctly different than Coke and Pepsi.
And root beer. It's not root beer either.
Yeah, but it's not as distinct as root beer. It's definitely not like a citrus drink. Obviously.
It's a very, very odd soda. Because what is that flavor?
I don't know what it is. It's kind of like a...
It has a cherry taste to it.
Yes. I was going to say almost like a cherry chocolatey taste in a soda. It's a very strange... But to Drake's point, I don't put it in tier 1. I put it in that sub-tier 1. It's trying to get to tier 1 level.
Really? Because if I'm getting a soda, Dr. Pepper is my go-to soda.
Really? I don't think it's the go-to.
It is. What's your tier 1 of sodas? It's a pretty tough list to crack.
Cream soda, Coke, Mountain Dew.
Cream soda is good, but not as good as Dr. Pepper.
You got the Baja Blast. You got all these other things. I think Dr. Pepper's knocking on the door, but I don't think it's going to quite get there.
Okay.
Even if it's even more doctorate degrees, it's not going to get there.
Dr. Pepper, you know how most sodas they'll come out with spin-off flavors like cherry Coke, vanilla Coke. Did they ever come up with a?
I think there's a cherry Dr. Pepper.
Oh, so there was a sequel to Dr. Pepper. I didn't know if it was just that good that you didn't have to mess with it at all.
Well, it only has 23 flavors. They want to add a 24th one to it.
I think they may have. There is
cherry Dr. Pepper.
Wow.
Okay, so maybe it's not cherry flavored, like we thought.
I don't know. There's 23 flavors combined in there, and I can't think of 23 flavors that aren't cherry. So I would say that it has to be in there at some point or another.
All right. Well, regardless of what's in it, I am drinking Dr. Pepper.
I'm drinking.
I agree. Unanimous drink on Dr. Pepper.
Unanimous drink for the doctor. Jake's throw. We have a 12. Monster energy drinks.
Oh. Of course I would land it on the energy drink. See, I don't drink sodas, but I drink a lot of energy drinks. And as far as energy drinks go, Monster was basically the trailblazer, in my opinion. It was the first one to be out there in the limelight, everybody drinking them, everybody being scared to death of Monster Energy because they didn't really know what was in it. You just knew that you drank it, and it tasted really, really good, and it was really sweet. I almost look at Monsters because as far as energy drinks go, it's not as loaded with caffeine as others. And Monster is almost like just a soda, in my opinion, because it's super sweet and it doesn't have that necessary bite that most energy drinks have.
It's more of an experience. Okay. Well, I think what Monster did first, because I think Red Bull was a big trailblazer, but Monster did the different flavors, I think, first. And what really got people to getting them Monsters. I actually am a huge fan. I was a huge NOS fan once upon a time. We all were. NOS got a little bit too much for me in my older age, so I have actually switched to the 0-calorie Monster Ultas.
Dude, those are probably the best one.
Yeah.
And literally, I think because I work at a hospital night shift, everybody's drinking them. That's literally everybody has that. Everybody has the Monster Ulta in their hand.
I think Monster is the only drink company that has absolutely nailed the diet flavor out of the park. I don't know what
they have.
But their diet flavor, so if you guys don't know, it's the white can.
Or purple.
It's the zero flavor.
They have different flavors.
Yeah, well, the one I'm specifically talking about is supposed to be the healthiest one,
yes.
the 0 calorie, 0 whatever.
Yeah.
And it actually might be the best one. And for that alone, Monster is absolutely a drink.
No, see, Jake, that's where you're wrong. The best Monster flavor is the same thing, the Ultra, but instead of white, the purple one.
And I
But
disagree
it's
with
still
both of
it's
you.
still like 0 calorie.
Oh,
Right?
yeah, it's zero everything, and it's awesome.
I disagree with you. I think the 0 calorie blue one's the best. So but that's even thing that's great about Monster. Is
Yeah.
that they didn't put all their eggs in one basket. They put a lot of eggs in every damn basket you can think of. There's
Yeah.
so many. There's 5 0 calorie flavors.
If you walk
And they're all
into
Think
a
about that.
yeah, you walk into a gas station, there's like an entire cooler section devoted to just Monsters and all the flavors.
They have as
Yeah.
many flavors like Gatorade does, and it's an energy drink.
And they even have a Rob Gronkowski flavor.
They do have a Gronkowski one.
They have energy drinks if you want a bunch of calories. They have energy drinks if you. It's literally they have some mixed with tea. I mean, it's
Do you remember whenever they came out with that BFC,
The big fucking can.
the huge one?
The
That-
fuck yeah, I do.
I'm surprised more people didn't die because that can. I'm pretty sure it was like 64 ounces of just nothing but sugar and caffeine.
Yeah, that
Yeah,
thing was
it's terrible for
freaking
you.
massive.
I think 64 ounces of that would have to go over like the
Legal limit.
illegal like the ones that you need to drink in a day. So that's even more badass that Monster was able to do that. So
Do you think you can legally drive after drinking a BFC?
Oh man, I don't know. This time early in the morning, that's the first thing you have to drink for your day. You're pretty wired. You're pretty jittery. I don't know if you can.
Dude.
Oh yeah,
this is an absolute drink. This is a
yeah, 100%
Drink.
Monster.
They knocked it out of the ballpark.
All
I
right.
agree. So Leighton, recap.
So we are 2-1 stinking Diet Coke, and we are unanimously drinking Dr. Pepper and Monsters.
Very good. Very good. Yeah, I don't know where you're coming from with the diet cola. That's a bad one, Leighton.
You guys
Stop
gotta give
trying
it
to
a
fool
chance.
yourself. Stop
Give
trying
it a
to fool
chance.
yourself.
I'm forever gonna judge your palate for that.
You already do, because I don't like all your stupid craft beer.
Craft beer's the best. So we're gonna go ahead and get to some trivia here. We said that it would only be in and out occasionally, but we've starting to take a light to the trivia questions. It's gonna get us prepared for our NBA draft breakdown, which we're gonna get to in a second. Leighton actually has 3 trivia questions, and they're all specific to NBA rookies. Leighton, question number 1.
All right. So all these questions are since the year 2000, just to preface that.
Okay.
Since 2000, 4 players have averaged a double-double in the rookie season. Name one of the 4 players.
Ben Simmons.
Tim Duncan.
Good, they're both incorrect. Well, Vannon,
Whoa,
Tim
whoa,
Duncan
give
was
us
drafted in the 90s.
Give us some more. Whoa.
Oh, 2000.
Oh,
2000.
Since 2000.
Okay, hold on.
Yeah, look at one more guess because you were both wrong.
Oh, crap.
Do, do,
Uh,
do. Do, 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 do.
This is a
Dwight
tough one.
Howard.
That is
No,
one.
that would have been. Oh, that is.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna go with.
3 others.
I don't know.
God, Dwight Howard.
I would have guessed Ben Simmons.
The others are Blake Griffin, Carl Anthony Towns, and Mecca Okafor.
Ooh, Mecca Okafor.
I should have known Mecca Okafor.
Bonus question. Only one player in NBA history has averaged a double-double with assists. Would you like to guess who that is?
Jeez.
In the history of the NBA, so from 1955 to now.
I have no idea.
I
Maybe
would
Pistol
guess
Pete.
Stockton, but I think that's too obvious.
Mark Jackson.
Oh,
1987 for New York Knicks.
The
that's
Mark
interesting.
Jackson.
So Brandon wins the first question. Second question. 2 players since 2000 have averaged 20 points, 5 assists, and 5 rebounds in the rookie season. Name one of the 2 players.
Ben Simmons.
He didn't average 20 points.
Oh, okay.
LBJ, LeBron.
Allen Iverson.
LeBron is one. The other one, Tyreek Evans.
Wow. Tyreek Evans. Wow.
Wow.
Tyreek Evans, actually, LeBron only averaged like a decimal point more assists and rebounds and like 1 more point in rookie season than Tyreek Evans did.
Tyreek Evans, he fell off a cliff before he was even 30. I think
He
he
fell
fell
off
off a cliff before he was even 25.
He was 22. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it was no. I think if you look at his stats, it's a steady decline from his rookie season. I'm pretty sure that's accurate.
Our final question.
Oh,
3 times in NBA history has a rookie scored 30 points and got a triple-double. Name one of the players.
3 times a
3
rookie
times?
has had
30 points and triple-double since 2000.
like in the same game?
Yes. Like the stat line was 30, 10, and 10 at least.
I feel like LeBron would have to be up there.
LeBron is
In
not
their-
on the list.
In their rookie season.
Rookie season.
And that's got to be big man. I'll go Blake Griffin.
Blake Griffin is one of them. He actually did
That
it
was
twice.
a good guess.
He
That
was
was a good
two. He
guess.
was 2 of the 3 times Blake Griffin that same season.
Wow.
Jake, will take a guess for the other player.
I have no idea.
Steph Curry.
Steph Curry. As a rookie?
As a rookie, yep.
Steph Curry was not very good as a rookie.
And I have a bonus question for you guys because I thought this was just the funniest stat of all of them. The most points scored by a rookie in NBA history is 55 points. Do you want to guess who scored it?
Allen
No.
Iverson.
Van Jennings.
Oh, yes.
Who needs college?
So, in order to be a really good NBA player for a long time, what I've learned from this since 2000 is don't be good your rookie year.
Yes.
Unless you're LeBron, Anthony Towns, Steph, big rookie year.
So we talked a little bit about some past rookies. Let's get to the rookie class that we just got drafted this last Thursday. And we'll start it off with the number 1 pick, DeAndre Ayton to the Phoenix Suns. Guys, what do you think about that pick?
Well, unlike Colin Coward, I think that this is a great pick because he's definitely more than DeAndre Jordan. He's strong, athletic, and like you alluded to, he shot 74% from the free throw line at the age of 18. I think that's in the past has shown that a player can, form into a shooter. I think he's great fit for the new NBA, and I really like the pick for Phoenix because I think the only thing that could derail this pick from being a great one is injury.
I like a whole lot too, because than you said, and I think it just makes the most sense for them already having Josh Jackson. I wouldn't take a chance on Bagley because you don't know where he's going to be able to play in the NBA. So I think Ayton was the right pick and probably the smartest pick.
Yeah, I agree with you 100% there. I think DeAndre Ayton is guaranteed to be an all-star at some point in his NBA career as long as he does not get injured. So if you're just going up against injuries with a guy who really doesn't have an injury-riddled past, I think you're in a good pick there. So number 2, Leighton, you hinted at it. Marvin Bagley got selected by the Kings. What do you think about this pick?
Well, actually, this is my favorite pick in the entire draft. I think with the young core already of Darren Fox and Buddy Hield in your front court or your back court, I think Bagley would be a nice player to put in the front court and move around small forward and power forward. Because I've said it a lot. The Kings don't really have a clear direction right now. They're trying to get the best young talent they can, and that can be moved around a couple of spots. I think Bagley was a home run pick for the Kings.
I absolutely agree. I think that he has the biggest star potential out of all of them. And the Kings have swung and missed on a lot of first-round talent. They've picked in the past for a debt. Malcolm Moore, Stauskas, Cauley Stein, Lavasier, Papagiannis, Thomas Robinson. I just think they need to, like you said, build around Hield, Fox, Bagley, figure out a straight direction, and just don't have a repeat of the DeMarcus Cousins scenario.
See, I don't think that this is just a slam dunk home run pick. Just for the simple fact that, I feel like everybody and their brother, come draft time, forgot that Duke had to switch to run his zone because they couldn't stop anybody. And if Bagley isn't able to go man to man with college players, I think he's going to struggle a little bit in the NBA on a defensive side of the ball.
Didn't you say last week that you would take him over Ayton at number 1?
No. Oh, no. I've never been in that camp.
Well, I think the whole problem with the whole Duke thing is that they were fine guarding teams for the first 3 quarters. They only played 5 players to 6 players a game. I think that was the biggest issue. I don't think there was technically a Marvin Bagley guarding somebody issue. I think everybody was just worn out towards the end of the game. That's why they went to a zone to preserve their legs.
So, if you were the Kings, Drake, who would you have taken at number 2?
Well, I think that you have to go Bagley there just because there's no other pick that, like, yes, Bagley is like extremely talented offensively, but I'm saying that there is some potential there to not be this home run pick that everybody's talking about, just on the simple fact that, I don't know how great he is going to be guarding people, and you really don't necessarily know where he's going to fit into a lineup.
I mean, I think he's just can be a focal point of. I think this is like even more than DeAndre Ayton. Bagley is so made for NBA today. He is not just a prototypical power forward. You can stretch the floor. You can play 4 deep if you want to. He's 6'11" and super athletic. He is going to be able to play defense.
Yeah,
put on a little bit of weight.
Like, I don't know if he'll be able to shoot a 3-ball well enough to really be a true stretch for, but I mean, I bet he'd be Kevin Garnett, and Kevin Garnett's one of the best power forwards of all lifetimes.
Yeah, but Kevin Garnett was way better defensively. I mean, we're looking at a 6'11" guy.
Coming out of high school, was Kevin Garnett better defensively? Probably not. Coming out of high school.
Probably not at all. And you had what actual like evidence other than them going to a zone do you have that he couldn't man up man to man?
He's 6'11", didn't average a single steal a game or a block a game. Like, there are some questions there. I'm not saying that I'm not saying it's a terrible pick. I feel like you have to take him at 2, but everybody's talking about this home run pick for the Kings, like, oh, it's great because you have a guy that you can finally build around. But, I mean, I think there's going to be some defensive liability there from Bagley, and I don't think it's an automatic superstar lock that everybody is thinking about.
But on top of that, to build off Layton's, he was 18. I mean, a lot of times you don't get your defensive, mindset when you're 18. That is the one thing that you usually can learn. And
it's basically all just effort.
That and a jump shot are usually the 2 things you can learn in the NBA.
And half of the defense is just the effort you put out, and coaches can get you to put more effort out. So
I'm not saying it's a bad pick. I'm just saying like everything that I've seen is this huge home run pick for the Kings. They finally got it right, and I'm just saying that he's going to be a defensive liability. If you're 6'11" in college and you don't average a block a game, I'm a little worried.
Okay.
So pick 3 is actually a weird scenario. 2 guys that will forever be paired together, and that's Trae Young and Luka Doncic. Hawks actually they drafted Doncic and then immediately traded him to the Mavericks. I believe they get a next year's first-round pick. It's a top 5 protected pick. But at the end result, Trae Young is a Hawk, Luka Doncic is a Maverick. Guys, what do you make of that trade from the Hawks standpoint?
The Mavericks must be very, very confident they're getting Boogie this offseason. The place no one's know well. Because if they don't get Boogie or like a 2 assault player, the pick's going to be in the lottery again, and they're just going to lose a lottery pick.
I think they're leaning more towards like Julius Randle.
Well, that'd be stupid.
Well, I mean,
we're just talking about it for the Hawks, though. So you like it for the Hawks, then, right?
I like it for the Hawks a lot. Yes.
So I don't like Trae Young as a prospect very much at all. I think he went way too early in general. But if the Hawks like him, they definitely got a good deal. Like I said earlier, they have Trae Young's going to get all the opportunity his rookie seasons. They have basically him and John Collins. They might even move Dennis Schroeder. Who knows? They really don't have talent, so getting an extra draft pick next year, so probably even 2 lotteries, is going to be huge for them next season. So if they like Trae Young, I say that's great, but I don't think Trae Young's going to be very good.
No, I agree. And, everybody wants to compare him to Steph. Like, I feel like we were in the same situation, like just 2 years ago. Buddy Hield comes into the draft, and everybody looked at him so much differently than the way that they're looking at Trae Young. And the only difference is that one guy's like 4 inches taller and 30 pounds bigger. And one guy doesn't know when to shoot and the other one does. So I don't think that the Trae Young pick is them trading for Trae Young. I don't like that necessarily. But if you like Trae Young, I guess you can go with that because you can justify it by getting a pick for next season.
Right.
But from the Hawks standpoint, I definitely don't like it. I think Trae Young probably, outside of like Jaren Jackson, has the most bust potential. Just because he's so small. And, I mean, you look at him at the beginning of the season last year, whenever nobody really expected much out of him, he lit it up. And he was an absolute superstar for Oklahoma. Second half of the season, they started getting into actual good defense, conference play, and people had tape on him and knew how to guard him. And it was a disaster. Like, Oklahoma completely fell off the cliff. They were a team that was looked at like a potential to win the NCAA tournament to barely sneaking into the NCAA tournament. So I don't like that pickup for the Hawks. I think that if they're able to turn that into a good pick next year, you could potentially like it. But I'm just not sold on Trae Young.
You know why the Hawks did that, right?
Migos.
Yeah, we said last week, Quavo wanted Trae Young is good for the culture of Atlanta. The organization clearly heard that and said, okay, we got to get Trae Young. I think
Is that not hilarious that we brought that up and they actually did that?
Yeah, hey, Jay-Z's running Puma. Migos making picks. Hell, Philly's got what's his face? I mean,
just got out of prison. Which one is it?
Meek Mill.
You make Mill.
Yeah.
I mean, the entertainment business is going to start running the NBA, I guess, huh?
I like it.
That's how it looks.
I like it.
How long?
There's
A
whole lot of rappers in Cleveland to help LeBron out, though.
Oh.
How long until Drake buys the Raptors? Not all
sure.
Drake, the rapper Drake.
Yeah, no, we know what you mean. I'm pretty sure Drake is a part owner, and we don't even know it.
No, he definitely does, dude. He stands there right by the coaches, like he acts like he is a coach. I've said this for like the past 3 seasons. The worst tickets to have in an NBA arena are the ones located right behind Drake. You're not going to see shit. He's going to stand.
true.
He never sits down.
And nobody tells him to sit down.
So, how do you like the Mavs? I kind of heard what Layden saying. How do you like the Mavs pick from this?
If you are able to turn around and get like a Julius Randle or Boogie Cousins in this offseason, I kind of like it. I mean, yes, Doncic will fit well. Mm-hmm. He'll fit well with alongside like Dennis Smith.
Yeah.
And, everybody wants to go ahead and throw out the Dirk thing. Like he's going to be able to learn from Dirk. I guess that is a little bit of it, so that could help segue him into the NBA. I like the pick if they're able to get a Boogie Cousins or maybe a Julius Randle in the offseason. What was your guys' favorite pick in the first round?
Like I said earlier, Bagley my favorite pick. Besides that, I thought a lot of teams made pretty solid selections. Only a couple teams I don't like at all. And I talked shit about this guy last week, but Robert Williams from Texas A&M, he ended up going 27th overall to Boston. And one thing Boston really needed last season was rebounding. And I can see him going into like the Joe Solinger role from 2 seasons ago. And even though I don't like him as a whole, if he can rebound to the next level, he'll be a productive player for Boston at that 27th pick.
I actually agree with you. I almost went with Robert Williams out of the first round just because he slotted into the perfect scenario for himself.
Yep.
B-Reich, who's your favorite pick?
I actually went with a great value pick with Jacob Evans at 28 for the Golden State Warriors. A lot of drafts had him actually projected, closer up to the top of the board. I think the Warriors definitely got a good defender. They had some injury concerns that you saw in the playoffs, and their role players with Iguodala and Livingston are just getting older. They have to keep on replenishing, and I think this could be a definite 3-and-D player. He shot 38% from 3 and took like 6 a game, so I think this could be a good first reload step for him.
No, I like that pick as well. My favorite pick, honestly, was Mikal Bridges to the Sixers, which ultimately just got shot straight back into my face. He's a Philly guy. He played at Villanova, and it was just a perfect fit, I thought, but that got shot down. So I'm gonna go with Colin Sexton to the Cavs. I mean, if they can get Ty Lue out of there and get a halfway decent coach, he's gonna be an all-star before he's 24. I mean, if he adds much needed athleticism to the guard play with the Cavs. I mean, they definitely needed that. Korver's not getting any younger. J.R. Smith's not getting any younger. And I think that he will be a good player to put alongside Kevin Love, because if you look at Kevin Love, whenever he had a pretty athletic point guard in the past, like Ricky Rubio, and he did have to play first fiddle, he was able to succeed very, very well.
So you are guaranteeing Colin Sexton's all-star player by the age of 24?
He was my favorite player in the draft, and he's going to go to a place where he's going to get immediate playing time. So I really like that pick.
Well, George Hill is getting paid $20 million in front of him, so.
Whenever I actually scouted Sexton on 100 Hoops Hysteria, and I do think he'll be an all-star someday. I can see it being by 24. It'll be like his 5th year in the league. I can see him showing up there.
There's a lot of good point guards in the league. That's the one position that it's really overloaded with.
It's heavy.
But it's in the East as well right now.
I think at some point in time, Sexton will be an all-star player.
I think he's a very, very good pick. Guys, Grayson Allen going to Utah was hilarious, wasn't it?
I was just
Could
about to
not
pick
be
that
more
up.
fitting.
Exactly. You couldn't have. I mean, Ted Cruz's little son going to going there is just amazing.
Yeah,
How-
no, it is probably the best thing I've seen.
How pissed off was Utah when the Bucks took Steven Shinzo?
Oh, they were mad.
Do you think a
Right
chair
through
went
the
through?
street.
Do you think a chair went through a wall?
Oh, at least one.
Yeah. But I think Grayson Allen's more fitting for Utah.
Hey, did you guys see that?
Something about it.
Donovan Mitchell, whenever he was at Louisville, actually smacked Grayson Allen.
Oh, I
Yes,
love that.
yeah, they talked about it, but Mitchell actually was in the interview with Grayson Allen afterwards and said that was a great pick for him. So hopefully there's not too much ill blood going on there. But
Donovan
Right.
Mitchell, great PR guy.
yes,
Absolutely.
he is. Absolutely.
So an interesting story. Michael Porter Jr. He fell all the way to pick number 14. One pick away from falling outside of the lottery. Guys, what do you make of him sliding here?
I honestly wasn't worried about the slide because people said it could happen until the Clippers passed on him twice. Then like, okay, something might actually be wrong with his hip or his back. And then 2 days after the draft, or next day after the draft, again, an update saying that he might not play at all his rookie season. So, if anything like Ben Simmons, though, he's going to be great when he does come back.
It's very true. I just think it's a lot of concern that he had to basically miss the whole season at Missouri, and then he had to miss even some visits with some lottery teams with having some hip spasms and back spasms still. Looking at the injury he had, that spinal surgery on his lumbar region, there's a good chance that it can re-happen and him have a problem. This is definitely just an issue with people having injury concerns with him.
Yeah, but in today's NBA, where everybody wants to tank and be bad, and they want to get a couple picks and put them on the shelf for a little bit, I was super surprised that he fell so far. But I think if this does pan out and he takes a year off and he's healthy, I mean, you're looking at a team in the Nuggets who they have Jokic leading the front court, and then you have like 50 young guards on that team, and you throw
Right.
Michael Porter Jr. into the mix. This could be a team that could be scary down the road. If I were Utah right now, I would take Millsap and I would send him away for the largest buyer that I could get, and I'm not saying I would tank, but I'd be a little bit worse next year and try to load up on picks because I really think that is a good start to a young core if Porter's able to come back healthy. What was your guys' least favorite pick of the first round?
Mine was actually Mo Bamba. Not that I dislike Mo Bamba as a player. I just don't like Mo Bamba going to the Magic. This is a team that has absolutely zero direction, and they have a logjam in his position with the bigs. They have Biyombo, Vucevic, Isaacs under contract next year, and their best player, Aaron Gordon, is up for a contract. I just don't really understand the fit with Mo Bamba to the Magic.
I feel like the Magic is where bigs go to die or get really
Yes.
good and leave.
Yeah,
That's fair.
yeah, I think it just by a match. I really thought that was a career killer. But my least favorite pick from the first round is actually both the Chicago Bulls picks. They drafted Wendell Carter Jr., who I'm really not a fan of at all. And then they drafted Chandler Hutchinson, who was the first player I scouted from Hoops Hysteria from Boise State. He plays kind of like the LeBron James, Paul George style of basketball, where he's not the strongest nor the fastest, but he's just but he is very strong. He's a good mixture of both. So that's how he plays. He drives the lane and bumps around. But him again in the NBA has to get significantly stronger and or faster. And he's already 23, so I don't know how long it will take him to become stronger and faster to begin the NBA.
Right. My least favorite pick of the first round was actually a team that it wasn't actually their pick. And it was the 76ers going after Zhaire Smith. I don't like it. There's just something about it. I don't like it. You had Mikal Bridges. You had him in your grasp. It was the perfect scenario, the perfect fit, and they let it go away.
I think
which
we're going to start a counter on how many times you're going to mention that. Because I think
It's
it's probably
four.
going to be at least one more time.
It's a killer. It's a killer. I mentioned the trade, but guys, what do you think? There was actually 10 trades outside of this one that happened either the night before the draft or the night of the draft, which is quite a bit, And we had talked about seeing a lot of movement, but 10 is a whole lot. What was your guys' best trade of the draft for a team?
Like I said, I really like what Atlanta got. If Trae Young is good, people think he could be, that'd be great for him. And they got probably a lottery pick next season. And the Clippers getting Shai Alexander is also a really nice one for them.
I'm actually a little bit confused at this pick, but the fact that the Hornets just basically swapped picks with the Clippers to get Miles Bridges, who I think was a better player originally anyway, and just got 2 second-round picks for it. I don't understand what the Clippers were really doing there. I really don't get it at all, but I think the Hornets definitely got the better player in Miles Bridges and got a couple of second-round draft picks for what that's worth.
My trade is actually a really interesting scenario. It's Vincent Edwards from Purdue, 6'8", small forward, pretty athletic, and he shot 41% from three in his final 2 years, or 41% from three in his final 2 years at Purdue. And he got drafted by the Jazz and then got traded for cash considerations to the Rockets, which if you could have looked at Vincent Edwards, watched his style of play, you would immediately know that the Rockets are the best fit for him. And I think a long athletic wing like Vincent Edwards will slot perfect into the Houston Rockets. And for a guy who went in the second round, I think it's the best fit for him. And I think that this could possibly, he'll make the NBA roster, and I think that he'll be a very good player for the Rockets. So we've kind of talked about what we like and don't like out of this draft. Guys, who is the overall winner of this draft night?
I'm going to go to the Denver Nuggets, because they got a guy who people thought could be a top overall pick in the draft coming into the season, and they got him in the pick 14. So all the times Michael Porter Jr. does come back fully healthy, I think Denver definitely won this draft.
My overall winner, I'm going to have to go with Phoenix. They kind of set themselves up for success in today's NBA. They got the athletic big that can shoot, and he's an absolute giant of a human being in DeAndre Ayton. They got Mikal Bridges, which, if you look at today's NBA, you got to have quite a few wings that can score, and they absolutely hit it out of the park by getting him. And then Eli Akobo, 6'2" point guard from France. Do you guys know any other 6'2" point guards from France?
Tony
Parker.
Yep.
Oh, yeah. If this guy can be Tony Parker, they hit it out of the park this draft night.
You see, I was going to pick the Suns had they drafted Jalen Brunson with the first pick of the second round. I think they would have nailed it.
Oh, yeah. I really think Brunson would have been better. I really think that the Suns sitting there right now, I think they're a point guard away from being an actually, fringe playoff team.
So I'm actually going to go with the New York Knicks. I think they did okay here. I think they got Kevin Knox, who I'm actually a fan of. I wouldn't have been hurt if the 76ers would have went after him, actually. Sadly, didn't fall to him. And then they got Mitchell Robinson, number 36 pick. One of the strangest whole stories of a college player in recent years. Goes to Western Kentucky, practices for 2 weeks, just goes MIA. Nobody can find him, and then tries to transfer, and then just decides, fuck it, I'm just going to join the NBA. He was a former McDonald's All-American. He's 7 foot. He's got a ton of potential. Yeah, I mean, he's a second-round pick. They'll probably even start him in the D-League, but he hasn't played in a season, so I don't think that'll be the worst thing ever. I think that's a huge upside pick, possibly, for the New York Knicks. No,
I absolutely – I love that. I think the Knicks actually did really, really well this draft, and it'll actually be kind of interesting to watch. If Robinson does pan out, watching him and Porzingis would be a thing of beauty, honestly.
100%.
I mean, you've got 14 feet down low, and it'd be crazy to watch. Guys, talked about the winner. We have to have some losers. Who was your guys' loser of the draft?
This goes right along with my winner, Michael Porter Jr.'s biggest loser. He lost out on millions of dollars.
Thinking outside of the box there. See, I was just going for teams. And I'd mentioned how I think the 76ers messed up a little bit, but I don't think that they did as bad as a job as this team. And that's the Blazers. I mean, they went after Anthony Simmons and Gary Trent Jr. The only two good players on your team are guards. So why did you go out in a draft which, had a lot of talent at the big man position and get guards? That makes absolutely no sense to me. It seems like, so what are you going to do? These guys are going to get playing time in maybe the 15 total minutes that McCollum and Lillard are on the bench.
Yeah, I could have understood taking one of them, but two of them, like you just said, where are they going to get playing time at all?
Yeah, double down on our bad decision.
Yeah. Mine was actually the Memphis Grizzlies. I think Jaren Jackson is an absolute bust for me personally. I just don't really like what he brings to the table. What he averaged like 10 points a game in college. He can play a little bit of defense, but we'll see how he translate. I don't actually hate their second-round pick in Javon Carter, but like I said, they already kind of piggybacking on what you said. I mean, one of their best positions is Mike Conley, and that's another point guard, so he's not going to get a lot of playing time. With the number 4 overall pick, I think he can do better than Jaren Jackson.
Oh, yeah, I agree with the Jaren Jackson pick. I said that he was most likely to bust. But Javon Carter, I actually like that pick a whole lot in the second round, just because he's like that super gritty Bob Huggins, like press Virginia U, and then he's going to a super gritty team like the Memphis Grizzlies. That was like the perfect fit. I actually think that Javon Carter could have a pretty good NBA career as like a Fred VanVleet. Like, limit his minutes, get him out there maybe 15, 20 minutes a game, and he'll be productive. He'll be able to guard just about anybody, and he'll be good. So we'll step out of the sports realm for a minute and put our producer in the spotlight. Guys, this is time for our Pips Entertainment Review.
1 2 1 2 Pips Entertainment Review. Sit on down for a movie to view.
So this week I'm talking about a movie that actually we can talk about at all, but this genre is becoming really popular with people all age. And the movie is called Hereditary. It's one of those like prestigious or like mysterious horror movies, kind of like The Quiet Place, Get Out, The Conjuring movies, Annabelle's. It's not a slash movie, but it's still a horror movie. And this movie is kind of a cross between The Conjuring, where it's kind of paranormal, and a movie like It Comes at Night, where there are no like real jump scares, but just the entire thing is disturbing and somewhat horrifying. It's about a grandma passes away, and then after she dies, her family starts having kind of like revelations and like disturbing things that are happening to them. And then this uncovers a big web of secrets. Well, if this movie first started, the first half hour in, something happened that makes your jaw drop, and you think, holy shit, I'm in for 2 hours of just on the edge of my seat stuff. But from that first half hour shock, it goes downhill really, really quickly. So basically, you watch it from the trailer, it's about the grandma was a member of a cult, and when she died, they had to find a new spirit or a body or something to take over as this god. And from that point, whenever I figured out the premise of the movie, it really lost me, 'cause I think that shit's stupid. And people are putting this movie up there with A Quiet Place and Get Out and the same little movies, and it's just not even close. Like, had I not paid for this movie, I would have walked out of the theater about 45 minutes in, an hour in. Like, it was really, really almost unwatchable. It gets 0.6 dips.
Oh, wow. Holy
no, guys,
Whoa.
just like
That's lower than a shake of water.
My sister saw it before I did. She said, "Just don't go see it. Just don't go see it." I said, "Well, shit."
So you said, screw you, Jamie. I'm going to go see it.
Yeah, well, shit.
Tell me to do something, I'm going to do it.
I was like, "No, I have to go see this movie," and I wish I didn't, because guys, like, it was really bad. And if you're a fan of the Conjuring movies or like Get Out, It Comes at Night, any of those kind of movies, you're going to be really, really, really disappointed if you sit through this movie.
So, the only thing that this movie did for you was put you just a couple dollars closer to that blue slushie.
It did. It actually made me skeptical of this entire genre, though. Because whenever you watch the trailers, it seems like It Comes at Night, it seems like A Quiet Place, it seems like a Get Out. But the trailer totally teases you, and the movie sucks. So now, every time I get excited for a movie, I'm going into it being totally skeptical. And I'll probably be more satisfied with it, actually, not having such high expectations.
So were there any like big name actors or actresses in this movie?
There was one. A lot of people have really heard of her or not. She's not huge. Toni Collette, she was the mom in Little Miss Sunshine. Have you ever seen that movie?
Mm-hmm. I have.
And then she was also...
Did she play a similar role?
A mom, yes.
Oh, okay.
And then she also played in The Sixth Sense. But that's really her only two big accolades.
Those are two very different movies.
Yeah, that's what I was getting ready to say.
They also came out like 8 years apart.
Layden, I'm going to be honest. You kind of lost me in your review.
Yes, this movie sounds like it doesn't make any sense.
Guys,
You started talking about like a godlike figure.
Guys,
I said,
no.
Wait. Did he switch movies on me?
No, guys. This movie takes a sharp left turn. And not to a good place.
Yeah, because whenever you started talking about this movie, like, I was like, okay, I'm following along, and then you just, like Brandon said, godlike figure. I'm like, wait a second, whoa. Like, that's a little crazy. I assume that the name of the movie actually is a spoiler in itself, and they try to steal, like, her grandkid or something to be the godlike figure.
In a sense, yes. Have you ever seen The Conjuring?
Yes.
Or Annabelle? I don't care. Do you know how in those movies, the paranormal stuff works? Because it's well written and it's not just totally out there.
Right. Like, if the paranormal stuff wasn't there, like, the movie would not be good at all.
Yeah. This movie, I feel like they could have just left the paranormal stuff totally out of it and just had it about a cult. And it would have been like 10 times better, and I wouldn't have just lost faith in it after the first 45 hour long.
All right. So recap: Hereditary.
0.6
dips.
0.6 dips. Do not be like me. Heed my warning and do not see this giant pile of shit.
Yeah,
do you actually want to hear what Jamie texted me about this movie? Her review of it?
Sure.
Quote, dude, take a massive shit, stare at for 124 minutes, and it's better than this movie.
Wow. Those are some pretty high reviews there, so definitely do not go see this movie. Guys, any bold predictions before we wrap this show up?
LeBron James opts in with the Cavaliers.
Oh, wow. That is bold. I like that. It just helps out with my Cavs of the playoffs next year.
Well, this won't happen by the next time we meet, but actually Kawhi Leonard goes to the 76ers.
I actually think that they helped themselves with that Zhaire pick just for the simple fact that people are comparing him to Kawhi. And if they pull that off, you were right. And my take has been completely debunked. But my bold prediction, I do too. I think it'd be interesting. I want to see more super teams. If there's going to be one, make them all super teams. My bold prediction for the week is, the the MLB hot stove. We said that it's been turned on just a little bit, but I think you really haven't seen anything about. You have your guys that they talked about at the beginning of the year that were probably going to get traded by now. I think by this time next week, I think we'll at least have one decent sized name. Somebody at least bigger than John Jay or Kelvin Herrera that's on the move. Maybe JT Realmuto. Maybe even, I don't think Machado's quite there yet, but we'll have a very, very good MLB player traded by this time next week. Guys, anything else before we wrap this show up?
Just as always, Dippers, thanks for listening. Make sure you hit subscribe and download. And actually, very soon, we will be on Spotify.
We hit the big time.
Really venturing out there. We got approved earlier today, so within 48 hours, supposed to be on there. So when we are, I'll tweet it out.
We'll let you Dippers know. We'll keep you guys updated. As always, for Drake, for Layton, thank you, Mr. Hot Take Detective, for sitting in today. And as always, Dippers, stay saucy.